Story 1. I think of it as a mathematics and statistics problem. There are quadrillions of other planets in all the galaxies and clusters of the universe. The universe is so vast that humans cannot even comprehend it. We cannot grasp its size. It is truly infinite. As such, the odds are extremely high that some other planets can host life. If they can, over the time span of billions of years, they did or currently do. So yes, it is likely that extraterrestrial life exists. However, they would be incredibly far away. So far away that I do not believe any extraterrestrial beings have visited here or care much for human affairs. Why would they? If they are advanced enough for interstellar travel, they are so far beyond humans that we may seem insignificant to them. Story 2. The universe is so vast that I believe there is some kind of life out there. I don't know if it is intelligent or not. Maybe it is just simple bacteria. There is a theory that Earth is the first planet to develop life, so there is that. Story 3. I am neutral on the topic, but I believe it is arrogant to assume we are the only intelligent life in the universe. That said, considering human behavior, I think we are not very likely to recognize other life forms as intelligent. We would be more prone to wipe them out or enslave them if we thought we could get away with it. Story 4. Yes, but we may have already found them. We are expecting something similar to us. They might be bigger or smaller and living on a different timescale. We think they will be like us. Even some of the animals on this planet are different, so why would aliens be like us or similar? When you consider different physics and timescales, everything changes, even what we define as alive. Story 5. The universe is too vast for us to be alone. That being said, I don't think aliens care about us. Story 6. Yes, there are billions of star systems in the observable universe alone. It is unreasonable to think Earth is the only planet in all of existence that has sentient, even civilized, life. Rare? Sure. Different from our current understanding of life? Probably. But humanity is not the only evolved life form out there. Space is simply too vast for us or anyone else to easily connect with each other. Story 7. It would be incredible if there wasn't any other life out there. Statistically speaking, there must be. However, unless faster-than-light travel or wormholes exist, it is highly unlikely that they will ever come to Earth or vice versa. Story 8. It's not so much that I believe in extraterrestrial life, but that it is statistically highly likely to exist. There is an estimated 26 sextillion planets in the universe, and it seems highly probable that many of these planets are in the habitable zone. Story 9. It was a nice surprise to come across this post. Yes, I believe in extraterrestrial life. As many others have pointed out, the universe is simply too vast for life not to exist somewhere else. In an infinite universe, all things are not only possible but also probable. Story 10. I have to. Humanity seems to be polluting the environment in which we live. Based on everything I see and my own experience, I think we are doomed to live in a mix of an idiocracy and a dystopian world. We are the first and only species on our planet capable of reaching the stars, yet we continually harm each other for profit and power. Earth will eventually face destruction. Someday, maybe tomorrow, in 10 years, or in 100. We are just one asteroid strike away from no longer existing. We need to build generation ships and head out to the stars. We must focus on advancement and not exploitation. We need to act or we are doomed. While I do not believe it is possible that we are the only intelligent life in the universe, if we are and we fail to thrive, that would be the greatest failure the universe has ever seen. Story 11. I believe they exist somewhere in the universe but will never have the ability to reach us or communicate with us due to the distance and the speed of light. Story 12. There are over 100 billion stars in the Milky Way. It seems implausible that we would be the only intelligent life to arise. However, let's suppose that we are an incredibly unlikely once-in-a-galaxy phenomenon. There are over 100 billion galaxies in the universe. The possibility that we are a once-in-a-universe occurrence is virtually zero unless someone, such as deities or simulation programmers, is influencing the outcome. Given the vastness of the universe, the chances that another civilization will intersect with ours in time and space are quite small. Story 13. Do aliens exist? I believe so and think the universe has far more life than we can imagine. I doubt a large amount of it is even like us. Who says they can't breathe methane or endure extreme heat or cold? Do I believe they have visited? Yes, but I don't think it occurred any time in recent history. Thousands of years ago, I believe they did. I'm very fond of the Anunnaki theories and stories about ancient aliens. Story 14. Yes, it would be pretty arrogant to think that we are the only exception in the universe. It is almost a mathematical certainty. Have they been here? Probably not. There are many reasons why. Story 15. Not to mention that NASA just found the essential building blocks of life on an asteroid. Importantly, they found amino acids, 14 of the 20 that life on Earth uses to make proteins, and all 5 nucleobases that life on Earth uses to store and transmit genetic instructions in more complex terrestrial biomolecules. The fact that such important molecules are just floating in space, coupled with how unimaginably large the universe is, suggests there is, in my mind, no way that this planet is the only one that has life. Alien life may not look like life on Earth, but it definitely exists somewhere. Story 16. There are more stars in our galaxy than grains of sand on the entire Earth. Each star has at least one planet, usually more. There are more galaxies than stars in our galaxy. Yes, we are alone. Story 17. Yes, though they may not be the little green men of folklore, I believe there is more life in the universe than just us. Story 18. My religious upbringing eventually led me to have skepticism until proof. By proof, I mean evidence that is convincing enough to change my default perspective of non-existence. I have not come across any. That said, I don't doubt that there could be. But until there's proof, all we can do is hope, wish, and continue searching. Story 19. Given the vastness of space, it is reasonable to believe that billions of planets exist. Life is likely to develop on some of these planets, just as it did on Earth. However, due to the immense size of the universe, I believe the distances involved mean we have never been, and probably never will be, in contact with any of these life forms, as traveling or communicating across such distances is impossible. Story 20. If you consider the number of solar systems in a typical galaxy and the number of galaxies in the universe, the probability of Earth being the only habitable planet is so low that it is essentially incomprehensible. Whether we will ever meet life from another planet is a different matter, especially given the current state of affairs on Earth. Perhaps they will discover our ruins one day. Story 21. Depends on what you mean when you say aliens. Do I believe in the level that conspiracy theorists go to? No, not at all. All too often, these are just people trying to simplify complex issues because they want to believe in something. Do I think there is a more advanced civilization out there with faster-than-light travel right now? I am very skeptical and doubtful about this. I don't think our lack of contact with such civilizations is proof of their non-existence. The universe is vast, and we've only been seriously searching for the past century, arguably much less than that. It seems hubristic to assume that some civilization would even know of our existence, and that we should have found them by now in the immense expanse of the universe. Do I think another civilization existed at some point in the universe? Possibly. I find it much harder to claim that this is impossible than to believe it could be true, given our current understanding of life. Time and the universe are vast. I'm still somewhat skeptical about this, but the idea that nothing else has evolved to even a primitive level of sentience, like our distant ancestors, is hard to accept. We haven't received any evidence from them, but that doesn't mean anything to me. They could be hundreds of light years away, and we will likely never communicate with them using our current technology. As for animals, I think the reasoning above makes it hard for me to believe there isn't an animal species somewhere. It seems nearly impossible to me that some complex life has not existed at some time. I don't think we will ever gather enough evidence to disprove the possibility of such life. We would need to explore every habitable planet. Regarding bacteria or even simpler life forms, we have good reason to believe they may exist in extreme conditions within our own solar system. I can't see how it's possible that they don't exist somewhere, and based on our understanding of life, this seems much more likely than not. They arose and continue to exist today under such extreme conditions that I am certain there must be other life out there. In conclusion, if you take a more nuanced belief on this, it seems harder to accept that life does not exist elsewhere. However, as for aliens in the traditional movie or television sense, no, sorry. These aliens aren't hiding pieces of a puzzle everywhere for us to find and discover. Story 22. I believe that the laws of physics are universal and consistent. In a universe with billions of galaxies and billions of stars per galaxy, I expect there to be other planets where conditions for life could emerge. Bacterium-like life is probably the most common form of life, while intelligent life is likely rare. We may be early in our development, and there may be intelligent species that will exist in the future that do not currently exist. Regarding interstellar travel, I am unsure if it is possible or feasible. I doubt we are being visited by extraterrestrial beings. Story 23. When you work with space, it is infinite. With endless possibilities for other life, there must be something else that is also sentient somewhere. Story 24. Yes, there must be other life out there in such a massive universe. Probably very far away, but almost certainly there. Story 25. I don't believe much. I am certainly enjoying taking in the relevant data. To feel belief, I will need to witness convincing evidence. It won't be words from a credentialed person. It won't be any of the videos I have seen released. It won't be a presidential announcement. I would need to witness it firsthand. I would need a live broadcast from a trusted source of a being or craft in the foreground. It would take a lot more than we have got. That said, keep on digging, friends. I will always keep an open mind. Story 26. Read The Little Book of Aliens by Adam Frank. He is an astrophysicist who explains the actual science behind the search for alien life forms and describes how incredibly vast and difficult this endeavor is. Story 27. Tough question. It's hard to believe that statistically Earth is the only planet with intelligent life. Each evolutionary step was a 1 in a million chance of occurring based on the Earth's environment at the time. If they are ahead of us on the universal timeline, they are probably watching us like a crew from a science fiction series, thinking, these fools aren't ready. Story 28. Space is vast. You just won't believe how incredibly large it is. You may think it's a long way to the pharmacy, but that's just a small distance compared to space. Our galaxy contains about 100 billion stars. It is 100,000 light-years from side to side. It bulges in the middle, measuring 6,000 light-years thick, but in our area it is just 1,000 light-years wide. We are 30,000 light-years from the center of the galaxy. We orbit around it every 200 million years. Our galaxy is just one of millions of billions in this amazing and expanding universe. It would be an enormous misconception to believe we are the only ones here in this infinitely large universe. Even if simple life is exceedingly rare in our galaxy, there are 100 billion opportunities for a planet to evolve a form of life. Life does not have to be complex or multicellular to qualify as life. While complex life and higher forms of intelligence may be even rarer, it would be unrealistic to think that life in any form has never or will never arise somewhere in a universe with billions of galaxies. Based on statistics alone, the numbers involved make even rare coincidences seem almost common. Story 29. Yes, I believe we were visited by aliens over 10,000 years ago. I think many religions originated from this. It's more believable than Christianity. Story 30. I believe that the universe is too vast to have only one planet with life on it. I do not believe that extraterrestrial beings are visiting Earth in flying saucers, making crop circles, mutilating cows, or conducting invasive procedures on people. Story 31. Yes. How do we know space isn't microscopic itself? Where does it end? There is life out there for sure, somewhere, sometime. Story 32. The universe is larger than our minds can comprehend. It is incredibly egotistical to believe there is no life elsewhere. How intelligent life is out there is the bigger question, in my opinion. Story 33. Absolutely. It's math. Statistically speaking, in the infinite cosmos, it's mathematically certain that there are other planets where life has also developed. Some are far older, while others are younger than our little blue marble. Some may be benevolent, while some may be intent on conquering the vastness of space. Story 34. Aliens like the ones in movies? Definitely not. Life on other planets? I am fairly certain it exists. However, we may not discover it in our lifetime. This life could simply be plant life and might be silicon-based instead of carbon-based. It could also challenge our definition of life. Story 35. Do they exist? Yes, I believe they do. There are too many planets in the universe for there not to be other forms of life. Have they visited Earth? Absolutely not. Story 36. The universe is a vast place. If it is just us, it seems like a significant waste of space. Imagine how lonely it would be if we are the only ones that exist, like a grain of sand on a beach of immeasurable size. Story 37. We exist. You see the different shapes and lifespans of various mammals. There are many possibilities for life forms to exist in their own trajectory. Story 38. I view it as similar to baking bread. If you were going to create such a mess, why not make a few loaves? If a deity or the supreme being of your choice said, let's create a planet full of people, why not make a few and see how it turns out? In the vastness of space, I believe it would be selfish to think we are the only ones existing out there. Story 39. Why wouldn't you believe in aliens? They aren't a supernatural, made-up concept. It's not a simple yes or no question. We live on a planet in a universe with other planets. The existence of life on a planet is possible, so the existence of life on a planet other than Earth is not impossible. If you're referring to specific aliens like pyramids, crop circles, or Area 51, or fictional characters from movies and shows, then no, I don't believe in these specific fictions or conspiracies. Story 40. Given the size of the universe and the number of planets in it, there is no way that aliens do not exist in some form. However, I do not think they have visited Earth. Story 41. I have many thoughts. Yes, absolutely, there is extraterrestrial life, possibly even in our solar system. Yes, there is intelligent life as sophisticated as or more so than humans in the universe, probably in our galaxy. Yes, there is intelligent, sentient life on Earth besides humans, including apes, elephants, cetaceans, and likely octopuses. I believe the reason we have not made bidirectional communication contact is not due to wildlife preservation or concepts like the prime directive of keeping Earth pristine. Rather, it may be that we are too different or too technologically inferior to interact with alien life. While I love Star Trek, it has skewed society's expectations, leading us to assume intelligent life will be roughly humanoid and biochemically similar. In reality, that is likely the least probable scenario. There are several chemical reaction pathways that could support the evolution of life, making assumptions like oxygen breathing or carbon-based life dubious. Bipedal humanoids are extremely unlikely. Among the very intelligent species on our planet, only 2 are bipedal, and they are closely related. I place some importance on the dark forest theory, that most intelligent life remains quiet because those that do not are wiped out by larger predators. Since evolution likely favors survival of the fittest in space, assuming that extraterrestrial life is benevolent or willing to communicate is a very dangerous strategy. Thank you for reading. Story 42. Depends on what we are talking about. Are we discussing legal and illegal immigrants, meaning foreigners who came to another country legally or illegally? Absolutely, they exist. Are we referring to extraterrestrial life forms from another planet? Statistically, it's highly likely that they exist. As for sentient life forms from another planet, it's hard to say, but statistically, it is almost certain that they existed at some point or still exist somewhere in the vast universe. Regarding sentient life forms from another planet visiting Earth, regardless of the legality of their presence, almost certainly not. The statistical probability is very low, and the lack of evidence places this hypothesis alongside those of Santa Claus or the Tooth Fairy. Story 43. I believe the universe is so vast that it seems unlikely there are no other civilizations out there. However, we will most likely never encounter or even observe them because of the great distances involved. Story 44. Only in a tangential sense, I believe we are not alone in the universe. However, I do not think that aliens have ever visited Earth. I believe that other life forms in the universe would be at a similar technological level to ours, with a possible difference of about 200 years, either ahead or behind. Story 45. Do I believe humans have encountered aliens? Now, it seems contradictory to think that if we were so advanced, we would crash our spaceship and be caught hovering over major cities. Do I believe aliens exist? As someone has mentioned, it is mathematically unlikely that they do not exist. Story 46. Do I believe there are other intelligent life forms out there somewhere? Yes. Do I think they visit Earth in secret? No. Why do I think they exist? The universe is unfathomably huge. I find it hard to believe there aren't other life forms out there. They are just far enough away that we may never know about them. Story 47. When asking this question, you should be more specific, as there are really 3 questions wrapped up in this inquiry. 1. Do I believe there is alien life in the universe? Yes, and the scientific consensus is that it's only a matter of time before we discover concrete proof of life forms not from this planet. It is possible we might have already found an example of fossilized life from Mars, and I think there is a very high chance that Mars hosted primitive life in the distant past, and possibly in tiny pockets today. The other place within our solar system that is a good candidate for primitive life is Europa, the ice-covered moon of Jupiter. There is strong educated speculation that under the icy crust could be some form of liquid ocean, which could host primitive aquatic life. Do I believe that there is intelligent alien life in the universe? I am inclined to think that there are other intelligent civilizations out there, though they may not be as common as more primitive forms of life. It is possible that the first planet we discover with active life could only have microbial, plant, and animal life, similar to how Earth was before the rise of humans. However, the age and size of the universe, combined with the practical certainty of basic alien life, make the existence of intelligent civilizations very likely, but not as certain as the first question. Do I believe that intelligent aliens have visited Earth? This is the actual controversial question that has sparked real debate. My honest answer is that I do not know for sure, but if pressed, I would say it is more likely than not that some aliens have visited this planet. Unidentified flying objects and the related subjects are very controversial and contain a lot of nonsense. However, there is a relatively small amount of credible evidence that is difficult to dismiss or debunk. For instance, I do not put much stock in the abduction phenomenon and government conspiracy theories, but there are still credible cases of people witnessing completely unexplainable aerial phenomena that display intelligence. They are the minority, but they do exist. Proving just one case of legitimate alien presence would be a monumental event in our history. That said, if there is, for example, an interstellar community of civilizations in our galaxy, I do not believe we are ready to join it. We, as a species, are far too divided on this planet. Story 48. If there are aliens, time and space are so vast, and the speed of light is relatively slow that the probability of even detecting any aliens is extremely low. Story 49. No, look at one of those last UAF videos. It drops like 1,000 meters in 1 second. Calculate the G-force. Nothing would be alive inside that. It's just digital artifacts. Story 50. Everyone has a camera with them. If they were around now, we would know. Beyond that, it is a bit arrogant to think we would even have been noticed by anyone out there yet. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.